Join Sean and Brad as they talk about sports and share a beer. From the east coast of Canada to the west coast of the United States. Over to you, boys.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Guys Beer Sports. I counted myself in. Because that's when I know where I always, when I'm editing, that's where I know where I'm at there, Reed. And yeah, you just ruined my intro, but that's okay. We'll keep it because it just shows you how the real deal that we are. Okay.
Yeah, you don't need the counting. You could just tell when I start getting smarmy because the pre-call, I'm your best friend, Reed. I'm full heel.
All of a sudden, the sultriness just comes out. A little salt there. Sounds great. So we are without Brad today. He's enjoying it right now in Hawaii, having a great
really
time.
In Maui right now.
He really is. Yeah, it must be nice, man. Leaving us all in the cold. We have to talk about sports while he's getting some sun and watching probably all the football he can handle. I don't know.
He's out there wearing tank tops, unironically. It's crazy,
right? It's unbelievable. Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Guys Beer Sports. Listen, I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. So big shout out to Flyers Restaurant out there in Oak Harbor at the Route 20 and Whitby Avenue. Make sure you go check them out. They have great beer, all made there in the restaurant. Great burgers. You want to watch a game, you're in the Washington area, you're in the Oak Harbor area, go there. Secondly, big shout out to Bodega Brawl. Hey, they got more games that are out there right now. It's a great Christmas gift. Make sure you go to Bodega Brawl on Instagram, on Facebook, bodegabrawl.com. Order yours. Make sure it's a great gift. Lastly, for your manscaping needs, go to Smooth My Balls. Let me tell you something. Reed's top of his head, I guarantee you, is not the same as down there.
The
Smooth My Balls.
Drapes. I got 100 floors down there.
That's right. So make sure you go to www.smoothmyballs.com/Guys Beer Sports to get your 15% off all your manscaping needs. Reed, it's great to see you, buddy.
You too. 2 weeks in a row, back to back.
It's unbelievable, man. I mean, I always look forward to our conversations. You're entertaining, you're delightful, but at the same hand,
I'm handsome.
Yeah, and you can say the stuff that all of us think, but we just won't say it. So.
That's right.
You're a free spirit.
A little bit of country, a little bit of rock and roll.
I love it. Man. So, Atlanta Braves wins the World Series. Congratulations to them.
Thank you, Atlanta.
Yeah. Big boy was celebrating. Yeah. Excellent. Anthopoulos. He was with the Jays. He was trying to build something here. Didn't resign him. He went over to Atlanta. He built something there. Good for you. Good for the Braves. Looks good. Everybody else is
good for America. It's good for America.
We don't
need the Astros winning any more hardware.
Man, but I'm glad that's all wrapped up though, because now it gives me a little bit of extra sleep there and to concentrate more on the football and hockey and basketball right now. We're still very early in the basketball season. I saw Milwaukee ended up losing yesterday. Like they were in the lead and they ended up dropping that game. That was crazy. But big stuff in the world of the NFL right now. I was amazed. Of course, it started off with Aaron Rodgers contracting COVID. And then all of a sudden it's like, what did he say? He said something like, what didn't say he was he never said he was vaccinated, but he ended up saying like, I've taken something or something like that, like something to the things where you might think that he might have been vaccinated.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm good. I'm good. Don't worry about it. No, I'm all set.
And what I loved is last week you're comparing him, like saying that he was like the most blackest guy on the Green Bay Packers roster. That guy is the Green Bay Packers.
Solidified it.
I'm there going to myself like he doesn't want to take the Johnson & Johnson because of all the side effects, right? And he has some sort of
got a stroke. I got that.
Yeah, you can't blame the guy. And he has some sort of allergic reaction to mRNA. So he just so happened to get COVID, probably from hugging Matt Nagy.
Matt Nagy strikes again.
Yeah. Probably from hugging him, he got COVID, and now the Bears are going to lose their second game of the season. I don't know, unless Jordan Love comes out there, because that's your future. That's a window into your future.
Green Bay, yeah.
Like if you're a Green Bay fan.
If I'm a Packers fan, I'm not sure I love that. They're gonna have to do something else in the draft, I think.
It's scary to think that, and I don't see Aaron Rodgers signing back with Green Bay after this season. He already pretty much made it pretty crystal clear that this is it.
Yeah, and the whole Tom Brady fiasco, that just kind of opened the door for a guy in his position to say, "Give me more power, give me all the power, or I'll go somewhere where I can get all the power." It's important for Green Bay to really look at the board and see who needs a quarterback, and tread lightly with this situation, because Green Bay's not going to solve this with money. Aaron Rodgers has plenty of that, right?
Yeah.
You can't just open up the checkbook and think you're going to get him to resign. So they're gonna have to hand over a lot of power to him, or potentially see him go somewhere they really don't want to see him go, because that boy can still play.
Yeah.
Right. We're not looking at like this is his last season of being a starting quarterback. Like, he can go there and he can rain an unholy hell on wherever he ends up. So,
and he doesn't need much talent. Doesn't need much talent on the other side of it. It's just as long as he can think and dunk to somebody and he has a good running back, he'll be all right.
Yeah, we looked at a situation where there was no Davante Adams, and we thought, well, that's it. And he showed not quite.
Yeah, like he had his own thing going on there. It's like, no, I'm winning this game, Randall Cobb. You only need like 5 yards, Randall Cobb. I'm going to throw you 3 touchdown or 2 touchdown passes. No problems. 5 yards, I think 10 yards. I think he had altogether, but he had 2 touchdown passes. It's crazy.
That's all it takes. Yeah, that's red zone efficiency.
That's it. When I look at this, and I'm thinking, like you said, Tom Brady and these elder statesmen that are quarterbacks and have a good mind for the game.
Yep.
Does it make you sit there and go, like, either I'm a GM and really I have the easiest job because this quarterback is telling me who to get, or does it make the GM obsolete? If you have a quarterback making these calls.
So, I mean, we've seen in the NFL the need for a GM isn't that big, right? We've seen what Bill Belichick was able to do in New England.
Yeah.
It's not a super critical role, but I think with with letting a quarterback kind of quarterback the situation, you're going to see more of a win now mentality, right? Win as soon as possible, win now, versus a GM's trying to build something that's going to be long lasting. I think it's a different type of mindset, right?
Right.
And for fans, do you want to see your team go out there and potentially win a Super Bowl in the next year or two, and then be awful after that, be tied up in bad contracts? That's the stuff that the GM's thinking about, that the players on the team aren't necessarily concerned themselves with. They just want to win now. They want to win during their contracts. They want to win during their prime. They're not worried about sustaining the organization for the next, decade. So it's kind of a tug of war there. And, people don't like delayed gratification. They want to win now. So I think the fans always kind of take the player's side on that kind of thing. But it is tough because the GM does have to think about the pocketbook, right? The ownership. They have to answer to all those people. Someone in Aaron Rodgers' position, he's not worried about that. He's like, I only got a couple more years. I want to win a title or two.
Right.
So,
well, it's funny.
That can cost you long term and set you in a bad place for a long time.
Yeah. It's funny when you say that win now attitudes, because it's like all the teams that I really cheer for, it's never been a win now attitude. It's been rebuild. Yep. Buffalo Bills finally look like a pretty good team. Toronto Maple Leafs, I don't know. Like, if this season falls apart, it's going to be rebuild 3.0, 4.0. I mean, I've lost count. It's kind of like there are certain teams, like, I'm sure Boston, they expect it. They expect it in Boston.
Yep.
They expect it in Los Angeles. They expect it in New York. Although
those are markets you have to win in. You have to win in, because if you're not winning, you're talking premier cities in the country. You have to win.
Absolutely. So so we have the Aaron Rodgers thing going down. Yeah, you're looking at Jordan Love having to take over the game. It's going to be scary. It's going to be scary for Green Bay, and who knows how long Aaron Rodgers will be out too because of his vaccine status. I mean, I guess Cole Beasley is still playing, so therefore he should be able to come back. I don't know, but that's just my thought on that.
It's weird. They're kind of talking about this like, we don't know what we can do here. Are you willing to keep a guy like Aaron Rodgers off the field? Because you have to think about the NFL as a product, and he's a major part of that product.
Absolutely, and especially this season.
Yeah, and the quality of your product's going to dip when Aaron Rodgers isn't taking the field. So, he kind of holds all the chips here. He knows that someone wants to see him suit up and play.
Absolutely.
You can't keep a guy like that off for multiple weeks without a real injury or anything like that.
No. And now, just moving over to the ever crazy drama that is the Las Vegas Raiders. Oh my gosh, what a dumpster fire that is looking like. Like you lose your coach to emails that happened 11 years ago, 10 years ago, when he was probably
when I was in diapers.
Yeah, like when he was on Monday Night Football, probably talking to his brother who was coaching the Washington football team at that time. And now you have Henry Ruggs. Crashing, like drinking and driving. You see the other charges that they laid on him with possession with a firearm. So he's driving drunk, possession of a firearm. The victim, which is a female and her dog, ends up burning alive in
girl in her 20s.
Yeah. I don't understand this day and age. You're a superstar. Why can't you get an Uber? Why can't you get a cab? I don't even get it. I don't even understand. And talk about like all this in the same season for the Raiders. How does this team go on?
Well, all I know is John Gruden's like, well, I'm not the big news. So probably sending a fruit basket to Las Vegas jail for Henry Ruggs, and probably sending one to Aaron Rodgers too, because he's no longer in the ether of our short, narrow attention spans. But Henry, what are you doing? You're in a Corvette, you're doing 156 miles an hour. Collision happened at 132 or 127 or something. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can afford Ubers, and I'm making, just this much of what that guy makes.
Yeah.
It's the decision making. Like everything about it was it was so reckless and so, and again, he could have hit a telephone pole and I have the same reaction. This is obviously much worse because somebody died.
Yes.
There's a family coming into the holidays now that's not going to see that girl.
Yes.
At the gatherings, right? Dreams never
disgusting.
Realize all that shit. It's like, just for what?
And I heard, like, with all the charges that are racked up against him, he's looking at 46 years. Oh, yeah. And it's like, even if he gets half of that, it's still not enough. It's still not enough. Like, your career is now burnt unless somehow, and I don't think the NFL can, or the Raiders or anybody can dance around this. There's not enough money to throw at anybody for this. I think that sense of privilege, I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get it. You're making that much money.
Yeah. And, you have an entourage, right? Again, I don't make that much money, and I have an entourage of people that are like, no, you're not getting in that car. You're not making this bad decision because it could affect you and someone else negatively. Like, just have a buddy, a sober buddy, a designated driver, Uber, taxi, walk. You're a super athlete, right? Like, figure it the fuck out. I always look at these situations and it looks like an impulse control thing, right? And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that this only happens to super athletes, right? People die every day in vehicular situations, usually involving alcohol. Mm-hmm. It's not unique to super athletes, and that's some of the rhetoric I'm hearing these days around this one is like, oh, spoiled and whatever, you think you can get away with anything. It happens everywhere. There's guys that in IT like me that get behind the wheel and kill somebody, right? But it does seem like it's an impulse control thing. When you do have that much visibility, you have that many eyes on you, you're in a public position, you do have to be better. And I always kind of like look at this and think, is this a CTE thing? Does that come into play here, like the impulse control issue? Because that's one of the big major symptoms of that is you have major impulse control.
But I mean,
I don't know, because like nobody's if you're smart enough to fucking get it together to where you're getting on an NFL team, you know what I mean? Like,
but the thing is, I think you hit the nail on the head there when you said that there's people still. I mean, like, we work really good jobs and we know people that get behind the wheel. Like we hear of it. I don't know them personally, but we hear of it.
Oh yeah,
it's just like
I was in the armed forces. You're in the armed forces. We see it all the time with our cohorts.
Exactly, and you sit there and just scratch your head, going, "What the hell?" Because you should always make a plan out there. And secondly, with the Raiders going forward, this season just seems like just one big loss. Really, I mean, you have a blemish
because they started off really hot.
They did.
They had everything in the line. Everything was going their way. Casey was playing miserably, right? It was like this was their opportunity, and the wheels started to fall off. And and this just goes back to something I always say: it can always get worse, right?
Yeah.
You look at the Gruden situation, like, oh, how does it get any worse than that? Well, when a star receiver goes and kills someone, behind the wheel, drinking.
And then I saw another one here about Damon Arnett facing a separate lawsuit of alleged hit and run of a valet. Again, from the Raiders. It's like, like everything's just coming out in this team. It's disgusting. It's horrible. And even if you make the postseason, you make the playoffs, there's a blemish on your season now. I mean, your season is tainted. It's and
the unfortunate thing is we've seen this kind of these incidents happen before in other organizations, and then it just happens again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in 3 or 4 weeks, someone's gonna have a big game. We're not gonna be talking about this anymore. But someone died. You know what I mean?
That's exactly it.
That's the heartbreaking thing is this is where our attention spans are so small, right? We're gonna move past this and like nothing ever happened. And that's really unfortunate. And I really hope to God that management and coaching and executives in the NFL are looking at this and being like, we have to be better. We do have to be better. Because again, this happens everywhere. But you do have to be better than everybody else. Right. Like,
you know what the sad part though, Reed, is that you're probably right because of the news cycle that keeps going. Things are happening all the time. And you're right, probably in 2 weeks, we're not talking about this anymore.
Nope. It's gonna be fuck Joe Biden and all that other crap.
Yeah. This is something that we should still be able to look at and just go, hey, like the NFL, I'm sure is going to learn from this, but you keep thinking they're going to learn from all their mistakes, right?
Are they?
Because
think about everything. Ray Lewis, Ray Rice, like
it's like over and over and over.
When you talk about the Baltimore Ravens, you're not talking about that. You're talking about fucking Marquise Brown. You're talking about Lamar Jackson. You're not talking about their incidents and how poorly they were handled. And that stuff didn't happen that long ago. No. So, that was just a short little while ago, maybe 6 years, 5 years ago. No, after 2012, if I'm not mistaken, the Super Bowl there. Yeah, so shortly after someone does something horrible in one of these positions, there's life for them after this. Look at
That's
Dan
right.
Hardy. He committed atrocious crimes against his spouse there, and he's got a fucking big career in the UFC now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know people that root for that guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wish the worst of the world upon him every time he steps into that cage. And I never do that with anybody. And, I really don't have anything else to say on it. It's disgusting.
No, it is disgusting.
Completely senseless.
Lastly, OBJ got cut.
Yeah.
How much do you think
that shit?
Man, How would you think of this as a Kevin Stefanski kind of move? Because just like I inherited OBJ, try to make it work, not happening. Or how much of it is a Baker Mayfield issue?
I don't blame OBJ for shit right now, honestly.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people saying there's a contract, you play, you do your job. Fuck you. If I sign on with a company and there's somebody who's fucking my life up, the amount of times that Odell Beckham Jr. is open, wide open, and he's not getting looks, mind blowing.
Yeah,
like,
but
that guy, you can throw that guy in double coverage and he's going to make it work
Right.
half the time.
Right. But you kind of have to have a quarterback that's not afraid to throw it down like that. Don't forget, too, that Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen, I believe it was at the college senior, the Senior Bowl before you get drafted. They were throwing side by side, and Baker was the number one guy to go, right? Josh went down on the draft thing. But the thing is, though, is that Baker had to move himself away from Josh because Josh had a cannon.
Yep.
And you see that it's just like, okay, Baker, yeah, sure you're polished, sure you're this, sure you're that, but you cannot throw that ball all the way down. And I think that's what was happening. He was trying to hit OBJ all the time, and you just didn't have the arm strength to hit him. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some guy from Cleveland is going to be able to tell me differently. But if you can't utilize your top weapon, because you're just not. I don't want to say he's not a good quarterback. But he's not a good quarterback.
I think that'd be a fair assessment right now.
You know what I mean? Like he's not that good. I know that in Cleveland he was the second coming when he came in, right? I mean, you blew a pick on Johnny Manziel. Like you blew a number one on Johnny Manziel. You couldn't make a trade for AJ McCarron, if I'm not mistaken, or who the heck was that quarterback from Cincinnati? I believe it was him. And then, you couldn't make that happen. And then you draft Baker Mayfield, and he takes over from Tyrod Taylor, and he looks great.
Yep.
But, he can't throw that ball. And so OBJ now is open. And I wouldn't be surprised somebody just takes a one week contract on him and just sees where it goes from there,
Yeah, and it'd be dumb not to. And you look at the waiver wire right now, who's up there. You got Detroit with number one waiver priority. They do well to jump all over that because Jared Goff does have an arm. It's not accurate, but he can cut it loose, and they have a real need for a guy like that can kind of open up the field and keep the secondary off honest.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna go. He's gonna be successful somewhere else.
Yeah.
And he's a prima donna. He's a diva. He's a bit of a baby, but he's also a wildly talented receiver. And he's in a very frustrating situation. And I think, looking from OBJ's standpoint, I never thought this guy would be getting released, getting waived.
No,
like
I know
what a fucking season we're having if we're talking about this. It's so crazy, but it's going to be a net positive for him overall. He'll go somewhere where he'll get all the looks, he'll get the stats, he'll get the numbers, and maybe not win a title or anything like that, but he'll get his. Right. And Cleveland, again, is going to have to sit there and look at their organization and be like, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
You know what?
Realistically, if I'm ownership there, I'm like, tell Baker to figure it out. He's got a week or two. If not, I'm dumping him because that kid's not winning any games.
Well, you know what? It's funny, right? Because it's like, OBJ's gone. We didn't talk about him. But Aaron Rodgers, we talked about Derrick Henry last week. Derrick Henry's now gone for the season. Aaron Rodgers out. Are we kryptonite? I don't know.
I talk him up. I'm like, I somehow won all my fantasy matchups where I had him starting, but it's not looking good. I picked up Jeremy McNichols. I'm like, that guy's not Derrick Henry.
Did you go after Adrian Peterson?
No, not yet. No. It's just like Adrian Peterson's not Derrick Henry. Henry's Derrick Henry. That's a.
And who would have thought a team like Tennessee Titans has Julio Jones and Adrian Peterson, and it's like, well,
AJ Brown.
It doesn't look like a great season, really. Still, you know what I mean? It's like, oh my gosh,
that's Tannehill's security blanket. Like again, you can keep secondaries honest with being able to hand off to a guy like Derrick Henry. You know, and now you've lost that, and
I know you're about to see reality set in. It's gonna be scary for them because they were like definitely a strong contender in the AFC, and now you lost Derrick Henry. All right, let's see what you do. Good luck, like you said.
I don't feel bad. They got all that whiskey and the honky tonks and good food. They'll be fine. They'll be fine.
Nashville Predators.
Yeah. Hey, get Preds. Yeah.
And the Memphis Grizzly. You'll be fine. Yeah.
Best of luck to you. Maybe sit up. Maybe go outside. Stop watching TV this season.
That's it. This season's over. It's over.
I wish them the best.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, man. I want to get into the week's matchups, but we'll get into that later though. But wow, that was a lot to unfold. Like a lot to unfold already, and we haven't even touched anything else. It's crazy.
Yeah, heading into week 9 and you have that much drama, and it seems like every week it's like, is it going to get any worse? And then it does. You're like, good Lord.
Man, hockey's in full swing.
Oh yeah.
I want to touch on this one thing here. Carey Price back, suited up Monday. So
couldn't come any sooner for the Habs.
Right? The Habs looked horrible. And I hope he didn't skimp out in his own therapy and recovery. I really hope he's good to go, because I wouldn't want him to feel like, oh my gosh, look at my team, they suck, right? I have to get in there.
That's the concern right now. Is he rushing back?
That's it, right?
To try and put out a fire.
Listen, Mark Bergevin owes you nothing, okay?
No,
that guy,
nothing.
He could go down with this team. He built this team. Man, they were talking about Cole Caulfield. That's all I heard throughout the whole entire playoffs. Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield. Well, Cole Caulfield's down in the AHL right now.
Recalled.
And what a bitter young man. He just took the Montreal Canadiens off his Instagram. Bitter young man. It's like, what is this, dude? You came up through college, and then you're playing in the postseason. You didn't play one game in the maybe one or two, but then you're in the postseason. You go to the Stanley Cup. Do you think that this is the way? This is your pathway? You're not Wayne Gretzky. You're not Connor McDavid. You're not any of these guys. You're Cole Caulfield. Played for Wisconsin.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, calm down there, buddy. Jeez. Montreal sent you down for a little bit of seasoning, and that's what they do. I'd hate to see him become a Victor Mete, but I am happy to see Carey Price suit up. Not so happy if they're playing the Leafs,
Yep. No, you know what? It's the guy you didn't mention that's my favorite thing to watch about Montreal hockey right now. That feels gross to say as a Bruins fan.
I know. I'm sitting there like scratching my head. What did you just say? What in the world did you just say?
I love watching the Habs games because of one man, Nick Suzuki.
He's a great player.
Is fucking wholesome, and he is just balls to the wall. He's not a big dude, and so he just gets under everybody, and he just makes it look so good every time.
Well, look at. So that was really the greatest thing about the trade for who was it? The old captain there from Montreal. They traded him to Vegas.
Max Pacioretty.
Yeah, Pacioretty.
Yeah, Patches.
Like Tatar is not even there anymore, in Montreal. So really it is Nick Suzuki, and man, he's developing into a great stud for them.
Quietly.
Yeah. And yeah, I hate to say it too, but he is a good hockey player. And that's what Vegas gave up. But Vegas is getting Jack Eichel now. And I don't even know if he's going to pass his medical or not. I have no idea.
They let him get the surgery he wants. I looked at that trade. It was a lot of picks, a lot of future considerations that they moved for him. So they obviously believe in him. I think Vegas has the roster to kind of smooth out any bumps they might experience with the Jack Eichel trade. I think they're set up for a long time to be successful. And I really just can't wait to see Jack Eichel back on the ice. Long story short. That's really what it's all about.
They had to get rid of a first rounder, a second rounder, and a player there as well in that deal, which I mean sounds fair when you think about it. Jack Eichel came in the same time with what's his face there now. He was in Winnipeg and now he's in Columbus. I keep forgetting his name.
Yeah. He didn't pan out as great as we thought he'd be.
He's got 10 points already though. Yeah, he's got 10 points already there. I think something like 10 points. He's up there in scoring. He's doing not that bad. Why can't I think of his name? But he came in with him and Austin Matthews. They all came in together that draft there. Now it's going to drive me nuts. Oh, it's going to drive me nuts. But you're looking at that, and it's like
Patrick Line.
That's it, Line. Yeah,
Line.
Yeah, and it's like okay, like Jack Eichel was a guy too. That he was supposed to bring Buffalo to that next level, right? But Buffalo just seems like it's just poorly run. What a poorly run organization. The guy, he wanted a surgery the way he wanted. It's your body. What the heck? You're not going to pay for it. You're not going to pay for the neck surgery that he wants.
It's not just his call too. It's like, he's seeing his doctors. He's seeing the team doctors, and the team doctors are probably just like, oh, we need him back in the ice as soon as possible. His doctors are probably saying, like, if you want a longevity of your career, which is good for Buffalo. It's good for Buffalo, but Buffalo doesn't like doing what's good for them for some reason. No. They handled Ryan O'Reilly terrible. Like that guy was scoring 4 points a game for a piece there, and they just like the contract negotiations. It was disgusting with him. It's like, what do I have to do to get some respect around here?
Yep,
it's crazy. And
he had to go to St. Louis. That's what he had to do. You had to go to St. Louis. It's like,
and look at what St. Louis did with that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
They were teasing cups season after season. So
Buffalo is the Cleveland. Buffalo's the Cleveland right now of the NHL. It's just NHL. Their structure, the way that they're running that team, is a joke. It's a joke over there.
The NHL history is mired with poor ownership and poor management decisions, and Buffalo's now. You just think about the history in Buffalo. Some of the great lines of hockey, suited up in Sabres unis, and you're not just hurting your fan base. You're not just hurting your chances to win, but there's so much tradition in the NHL. There's so much tradition in hockey. It's all about that and the superstition and stuff like that. And they're just kind of spitting in the face of all of it. And it's like,
look at all the talent that's come through Buffalo. Like you said, it's ridiculous. It's a whole entire just a bag of riches that they've had come through that organization. McGillney, LaFontaine came there. And we're talking about there. Then you talk about Jack Eichel now. You're talking about O'Reilly there. It's disgusting to think about it, and they just don't know what they're doing. I thought the Leafs don't know what they're doing. These guys really don't know what they're doing,
No, the Leafs look like a well-oiled machine compared next to Buffalo. You're like, and they're the scapegoat now. You can say, hey, look, we're not Buffalo. You look over the fence there, and then you guys are kissing cousins, nice and close. So.
Oh yeah,
you could be like, "Hey, we're not those guys."
Man, Dominic Hasek, another one.
Dominator,
that's crazy. So we were looking at all that. Oh, wanted to finish up because I pointed you to that goal last night. Edmonton is on a tear. I don't even know how they lost a game. You have two players, 23 and 22 points with Draisaitl and McDavid. They're on a tear this season. They're doing stuff like early 90s scoring. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
It's like Lemieux and Gretzky-esque and Yager, and it's like, ugh.
It's scary to watch.
That goal last night did look like an early 90s goal. Like that. None of those guys belong to be there with them.
Connor McDavid took on 4 New York Rangers and put the puck in the net.
Yeah.
These are all professionals. You keep hearing about how the game is now a lot more like closer and you can't play that way anymore because there's so much hitting and there's so much defensive prowess from the players, and it's just Connor McDavid during the regular season is playing head and shoulders above everybody. Like,
and you know what? It's like I just watched the goal quickly before we signed on here, and I was doing what those defensemen were doing. Is this happening right? What the hell is that? Puck watching. It's a real problem. It's a real phenomena. And
you might be able to get a defenseman and a goaltender to bite. He got 4 skaters and the goalie to bite.
And the goalie bit the hardest too. That was the hardest part to watch. It was upsetting.
Like, wow, you don't need anybody else on the team. He literally took the puck out of the zone, waited for all the Oilers to get back on side, and goes back in and does that. You should be spanked. You were ahead, like something like 5-2. You lose 6-5, and it's due to that man just sitting there and just going, "No, we're not losing today." You know.
Nope.
And I remember I was watching Sidney Crosby when Sidney Crosby first came in, and he was trying to do stuff like that. You know, like dance around with the puck. But he'd cough it up or lose it. He's had some beautiful goals, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But I've never seen anything like that. And that's even talking about Gretzky.
McDavid made it look so easy, right?
Yeah.
You know, you look at like some of the great highlight reels of like Ovechkin where he's on his back and he's whipping it around, like, you know, he had to do everything, throw the kitchen sink at them, right? McDavid, it was like he was in his garage with a tennis ball. You know, like in a couple of freaking street cones. It was like, what the? And he has that mystique. He does the little nuance things. You have to really zoom in, and like hockey camera work just doesn't do it justice.
No.
Trying to capture what that kid's doing on the ice. And it's because you're not seeing what his eyes are doing, how he's looking people off, and how he's feinting this way and feinting that way, and throwing a little, like, you know, a little stink leg into it and stuff like that. And the way that goalie bit on it.
Oh my gosh.
It was
and he put it right in the middle of the net. He made him bite so hard that he still put it right in the middle of the net, not top corner, just shoveled it in, like no problem.
That was the worst catfish in professional sports since Manti Te'o. Hands down. Hands down.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot more hockey there coming up. We just started. NBA season's going along. The Raptors hosted Cleveland, lost by 1 point.
Patrice Bergeron, I know it was against the Red Wings, but he put up 4 goals the other night.
Very
3
true.
on the power play.
Very true. And they're coming to town. They're coming to town tonight.
I know. So get ready for that. Bergie's feeling himself.
I know.
He's handsome. He's intelligent. He's the nicest guy in the fucking world. And he's probably the toughest guy on the planet. I'd be amazed if he doesn't have like 9 broken ribs, because he plays like that when he's all banged up.
Yeah.
And I like Tom Brady leaving. Everyone was very upset. I'm like, Bergeron's still here. You know, we lost Chara. Bergeron's still here.
Well, you lost Chara because you guys didn't sign him. Let's just get that straight. He wanted to stay.
We lost him. Ownership gave him away.
Yeah.
You know, ownership. That's on them.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
as long as Bergeron's here, that's why I'm a smiling idiot every week we talk.
Hey man, it's very true. Your team still is always dangerous. I mean, it's as simple as that. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to seeing them tonight. But
and then there's Pasternak and Marchand, and you know, you can go from there.
Yeah.
No Krejci, no Rask, no big deal.
Yeah,
Peace, Bergeron. I'll see you tonight, buddy. It's a shame you have to watch that in your Blues.
Well,
but
yeah. So
who's getting the start tonight? Jack Campbell.
I think it's going to be Jack Campbell. Yeah, because he had a night of rest, and it is Boston. I mean, Mrazek wouldn't be a bad one to go either. So, but
Mrazek always played well against the Bruins. So
yeah, absolutely.
Carolina,
man. Yeah, I am going to be there. I'm representing the Canadian Armed Forces tonight at the game, and so close to Remembrance Day for the Americans, Veterans Day. It's quite the honor. So,
lest we forget.
Yeah. So lest we forget. I'm wearing my poppy today too. So,
it's not too early.
Yeah. So it's gonna be fun out there. I wanted to talk about, since we're closing down hockey here right now, so we'll be talking more about it, I'm sure. Glover Teixeira just won the light heavyweight championship last week, and we haven't even had a chance. We haven't had a chance to think that. We're already moving into another fight here, another pay-per-view tonight. But
yeah, that was a free pay-per-view too.
Yeah,
like that was one of the free pay-per-view. That was a numbered UFC event. That was the first one in like 15 years that Bruce Buffer wasn't at too.
Crazy.
He hasn't missed a numbered event since like UFC 12 or something like that. Maybe 20 years. I don't know. He's like the Iron Man. Just a wild event. It just capped off with Glover Teixeira, who I'm like, I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, why the hell is he even fighting for the title? and it's just like, you think about it, it's like, well, you got some banged up bodies, you got the John Jones situation. He's not doing his fighting in the cage these days, apparently. And then Glover Teixeira, who I've always been such a huge fan of. He's such a personality. He's a good guy. Right?
He is a good guy.
Which is great to see in a sport like that. It's such a violent sport. And Jan Blachowicz there, no joke. He earned that strap, and he got it taken away from him by a seasoned vet. How good does that feel to watch one of the old guys pulling in?
Oh, I was just saying. I mean, he's not a young spring chicken. I remember the last time I saw Glover Teixeira.
43?
Yeah, like when he was actually in title contention, was fighting Anthony Rumble Johnson.
We were talking during that fight.
And Rumble hit him so hard his tooth flew out. I will never forget that. And I'm just like, holy smokes. To see him win a strap, that's great. It makes me sit there, though, and go, man, was John Jones that good?
Yeah.
Like, that title did not switch hands unless John Jones was getting suspended or something. And then Daniel Cormier would come in and then hold on to that strap and then lose it to John Jones, you know? And now, no John Jones, Cormier retires. This title is switching hands. And that seems to be the thing right now, is that titles are going to switch hands. I don't think Ngannou is going to be holding on to that title for very long against Cyril Gane once they fight, you know? Peter Yan right now just won. What he beat Corey Sandhagen. Was that like a reunification? Like they have to do a reunification one now?
Yeah.
Like what's happening with Aljamain Sterling? Why didn't he fight? That was originally the card.
Yep. I'm not sure what happened with Aljo. He won it in an auspicious situation, right? Like it was it was a weird way to win it. He won. I don't think I don't think he really has like ownership. Like, again, when John Jones has the belt, it's his fucking belt. And even when someone else gets it, you're just like, yeah, enjoy it for now. You're just keeping it warm for him. You know what I mean? Like, and the same thing with Stipe in the heavyweight division. It's like, time and tide in Stipe Miocic. But now, I don't know. I can't imagine Glover Teixeira holding on to that light heavyweight title for very long with all the killers that's in that division.
There's so many good guys in that division.
And there's a lot of young guys that are fighting on these undercards that are looking astounding, right? Who look like they're the next generation, and we're just in a weird time right now across all the divisions. It
just feels like there's a void, and right now we're just waiting for somebody to come up and step up into that again. But it's good to see titles switching hands. Like it makes it a little bit more entertaining because it's just like, hey. It's like the UFC back in the day when you had nobody who's going to hold it. Who's going to hold it after this? You know,
it was Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz. Like they were all just kind of trading back and forth. And the funny thing is, you still have two divisions that are completely tied up with champions. I don't see losing in the next 3 or 4 years with Izzy Adesanya there and Kamaru Usman at welterweight, who's fighting tonight.
Against Colby Covington. And man, I am stoked. I'm not going to be able to watch that fight, but I am super stoked about that fight. When you think about that, I just want to see Covington just get beat up, which is probably going to happen.
It's probably going to happen. And that's crazy to think because Covington has these personality aside, which I don't think it's his real personality. He's playing heel, right? That's what he's got to do to put food on his plate, I guess.
Right.
So
Right.
that's on him. Uh, but
Well,
in the cage and in the gym, he is a motherfucker.
Right.
His output is historic, never seen before.
Right.
His toughness is historic, never seen before. His ability is historic, right? But the problem is right now, generationally, he's got Kamaru Usman,
Yeah.
who another guy I don't love personality wise, but we're seeing something special with that division right now.
Absolutely.
And, the only way I saw Kamaru Usman really having some trouble was if Habib's dad didn't die and he gets bored beating up 155 and then goes to 170.
That's it.
Puts on 20 pounds of muscle and then decides to bounce up there, because that's the only way I saw Kamaru Usman, getting dismantled there. And that's not going to happen.
All right, just a quick question for you, quick hypothetical. Kamaru Usman's in his prime. We would all agree with that.
100%.
Who would win a fight between Kamaru Usman and George St. Pierre, both in their primes?
Probably Usman. And just
so?
because the expectation wasn't as high for St. Pierre. He was above the expectation.
Right.
St. Pierre was above. He was the future at the time. Right. He was ahead of the curve.
Right.
But Usman's ahead of the curve now, right? And we're only 5-6 years removed from George St. Pierre, just exiting his prime. Being in his prime or on the tail end of his prime.
Right.
But the game has elevated so much lately that if we're doing this thing, we stick St. Pierre in his prime in the time capsule and unleash him today. I'm not sure it's at the point where it needs to be. Now,
don't forget
if St. Pierre's coming up at the same time as Usman, I think that's a different conversation.
Right.
See, if we're talking about each in their prime, it's Usman's prime expectation is so much higher, and he's exceeding that.
Don't forget too, though, like in the U.S., you guys had MMA gyms everywhere. Like we have a boxing coach, we have a wrestling coach, we have everything like that. Yeah. When George St. Pierre was doing it, there was none of that in Canada. He literally had to go and independently get people, teach me some boxing, go to the Canadian wrestling team, and
he had to get that wrestling. Drunk Frenchman Muay Thai fighter. Teach him how to kickbox. Still one of my favorite moments on The Ultimate Fighter was that crazy drunk bastard beating the hell out of everyone twice his size, hammered, reeking of cigarettes. That's what St. Pierre had to put together. And then he was lucky to meet a guy in TriStar Gym there.
Yeah,
and they got the most juice from the squeeze on him. And but and again, that goes back to this conversation where you have to really frame the question appropriately. Is George St. Pierre coming up now? Because Canada's got a very robust
now it does
network.
Yes.
Yeah, and the United States has only gotten better.
That's right.
There's right now, like when I was a kid, when I was training, I had to drive 30 miles north, 30 miles west, 30 miles south.
Yeah.
Right. Now I have like 8 gyms right here in town.
Right. So
and
probably with people that are used to fight too. So you have some real talent that's teaching talent, So
and I think George St. Pierre, if he came up at the same time as Usman, he would be unstoppable. To answer your question, I think if they came up at the same time, I think it would be kind of a 1-2 thing. And that's what's so important about a fight like tonight is because Colby Covington does have a little bit of that tenacity.
He does.
George St. Pierre had, where I'm not going to get beat. I'm gonna work so darn hard in the gym, so fight night's easy, right? Problem is Kamaru Usman's. I don't know if it's Nigeria. I don't know if it's something in the water over there. They just grow them different because you look at Ngannou, Adesanya.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
But what's even scarier is Usman's little brother. You ever seen that dude fight?
No, I haven't. No.
Oh, I think he's fighting like Cage Titans or something like that. Like
wow.
He's twice Usman's size. He's fucking terrifying. He's losing fights, but I think he's just young.
Coming up. Yeah,
something about Nigeria, man.
Which fight sticks out at me right now though? That Justin Gaethje Michael Chandler fight.
Oh yeah, Michael Chandler is perennially. He's like the gatekeeper, right? If you can deal with him.
But they were trying to sell us a bill of goods that this guy was the next big thing.
At 155, that was a real conversation because it was such a stout division. The way he came out and handled what was his name? Hooker.
Yeah, he handled Dan Hooker, Dan Hooker, real quick, like. But then his next fight,
done that to him before.
But then his next fight, he was just run of the mill, and now you got to fight.
We've seen that Chandler in the past with the pit bulls there, Patricio and Patricky there. Like they beat Chandler.
Yeah,
Chandler could be beat.
But
Chandler had to elevate in the UFC.
Yeah,
and he had to step his game up, and I think he's doing that, and I think he'll settle in. And the UFC is doing a great job with him by not slow playing him. The UFC has a history of slow playing guys.
Who was it he lost to again? That was another guy that's been in the UFC forever, and I can't remember his name right now.
Geez Louise.
I can't believe I got you on this.
Oh my God. Wasn't Oliveira, was it?
Yeah, Oliveira. That's exactly it. Yeah.
And again, that's part of this too, is like what Oliveira was putting together. He's not a slouch. And
no, he's not a slouch.
It's still the most dangerous division in all of sport. 155.
But Habib was there, right? Habib was there. And Justin Gaethje is probably the best 155er at that moment when he fought Habib.
Mm-hmm.
And then Habib made him look like he's playing with a child. And that's what Michael Chandler was trying to bring onto himself. Habib, no, you're not that. He's an older guy too, Chandler. He's not young. He's not a young spring chicken.
Oh, he's like 36.
Yeah.
36 or something like that. Yeah.
So, he's been around the block, but they were really trying to sell him.
That's the problem though, is like, and the UFC, it was a good move, right? Because your strongest
of course
division
it was
155, and you got a guy like Chandler who is in a position that you can snag him up, right? Like he wasn't getting the respect he deserved over there in Bellator,
right?
He wasn't getting the shine that he really deserved,
right?
He gets over to the UFC. Dana White does his diligence and make sure this guy feels wanted and respected and stuff like that. I think that's really all it was. I don't think they played it up like he was going to be God's gift to the 155 division. He put him in the scariest division in all sport. It's the scariest division in all sport.
Are you kidding me right now?
Listen,
because when I hear Joe Rogan, I got
one name for you. One name for you. Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Oh, that guy's garbage.
Sugar Sean O'Malley.
They pushed that guy.
Who continues to fight nobodies.
Yeah.
Right. And he's fighting another nobody tonight, or the next card. I think it might be this card. Another guy that's not even top 15.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to hear it about Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler's, I think Michael Chandler's getting what he deserves. He was
Joe Rogan built that guy up like Joe Rogan builds these guys up. You ever notice that?
He paid him what he deserved on that one. And Joe Rogan's not a company man, because otherwise he'd be riding.
No, but Joe Rogan brings in his buddy Ben Askren, and Ben Askren turns out to be a big flop. And then he goes and he loses to an internet YouTube sensation. It's like, man.
He took a flop. He didn't even train for that's not a real fight. That was a payday. That was the WWE. I think Ben knocks him out, no problem.
Well, you don't come in looking like a bag of milk. Jeez.
It's the easiest $1 million he ever had to earn in his entire career. So, and he's a Wisconsin boy. That money's going to go very, very far for him out there. That's like $2 billion in LA.
Him and Cole Caulfield and JJ Watt's all going to be hanging out there, right?
Yeah. You can buy about a lot of Busch lattes with that kind of coin. But yeah, I honestly don't think it was so egregious what Joe Rogan did. Joe Rogan's not a company man. He only does certain UFC events, numbered UFC events in the United States.
Don't get me wrong. I love Joe Rogan
all the time.
I love Joe Rogan, but yeah, like whenever I hear him talking about a fight, it's like, listen, man, not everybody is that good. You keep saying it. And I understand he's trying to sell a fight. I understand that. They're all trying to sell a fight. Of course. But I don't know, man.
If I saw Joe Rogan like every fight, if he was talking up Sage Northcutt, if he was talking up Sugar Sean O'Malley, if he was talking up like these guys that were the UFC poster boys, then I would be grossed out by it.
Right,
but Chandler was brought in because Chandler wanted to test himself.
But that's what grosses me out.
To test the 155, And I think Joe Rogan, I think everything he said, because what Chandler's resume walking into the UFC was stout. It was impressive.
No, it was.
Joe Rogan spoke appropriately about it, and it was exciting to see because Chandler he belongs to be there. He deserves to be there.
Yeah, and then if he were to fight Habib, you would have seen exactly how childlike he was.
Well, Habib does that to everybody.
I know.
They're all children compared to Habib. Guy stayed in freaking Dagestan. Like, he can go anywhere in the world, and he's like, nah, this is it. This is real shit.
Last week's card, how many people from Dagestan and Russia that was fighting on that card? It was crazy.
Everybody in Dagestan can be a UFC fighter.
That's exactly it. It's like crazy. The same thing with
Nigeria. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's like you just find some guy that's selling peanuts. He could probably give him 5 years. He'll be a fucking champion.
Well, that's it, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, man.
Again, I don't bust Michael Chandler's balls over the Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira is legit. I think he's the real.
He is legit.
I don't think he'll be able to hold on to that belt very long just because of how dangerous that division is.
Yes.
Poirier's still fighting. Gaethje's still fighting. Like, these guys are they're in their primes.
Poirier. Okay. Like, the unfortunate thing is that he fought Conor McGregor twice. Okay.
Yep.
So that level of competition for him probably went down because he's fighting a guy that really hasn't fought for that many years. So if you're going to go up, you know what I mean? If you're going to go up against an Oliveira or anybody like that, you're going to have to now train even harder.
That's what he's doing next.
Yeah.
That's what he's got next.
And justifiably so. Justifiably so. I mean,
he's earned it.
Yes. He should have fought for the title before he fought Conor McGregor a second time. McGregor is he's just a sideshow now.
McGregor keeps the lights on, as I like to say.
Yeah.
That's how you pay your bills.
True enough.
I don't like waking up in the morning and working, but that's how I keep the lights on. You got to do something gross occasionally.
All right, man. I think
whores.
And Dana White's the pimp, right?
It's not a bad pimp to have. Good Boston boy.
I don't know. Would you want to take a slap from that there, all powdered up, his hand all powdered up? He's coming across there.
No, that dude used to box and probably all mobbed up. I'm all set.
Oh, for sure, he looks mobbed up.
So I know you're trying to get your beauty rest there before your big night tonight. But what do you think of all this fighter compensation talk around the UFC and Dana White? Because he's eating his shirt on this. Like, everyone's got something to say about it. And
the one thing the Paul brothers actually did, whether it's by accident or they just ended up picking up this mantle after the fact, but showing that, hey, I put up fights and I'm paying these guys. And that the UFC has been around that long. They could pay these guys a lot more, and you think about after taxes, after you pay your cut man, your whole entire ringside people there that are training you and everything like that, how much you're really walking home with if you're not top talent? What?
Yep.
10, 20,000 maybe after taxes.
Sure.
And you're all beat up and you got medical bills. And it's like,
so, my whole thing is, I've thought a lot about this. So I understand I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. But my whole thing is we've seen a pattern with the UFC where they're reinvesting every dollar into the organization. Right. What we're seeing is the UFC Performance Institutes around the world, making sure they're tapping into these different regions around the world, like China, Mexico. They're building into UFC PI. They have Vegas. They got one down in South America. They're really tapping into these regions and giving fighters the best, right? The best place to train, access to the best, sports physiologists and stuff like that. They built their own fucking arena, the Apex Arena. That's not a rinky-dink arena, And what I see is happening is very similar to the NFL, Major League Baseball, and hockey, right? There was a time when they were playing in borrowed barns, right? And now they own their own shit. They own everything. Right. They own every bit of it. TV, revenue, merchandise, all that shit. Mm-hmm. They own every penny. Yeah. The UFC for a long time has been running around to other people's arenas and stuff like that, right? And they have to pay those people a lot of money. And by creating the Apex Arena, now they have a place where that it's tailored for the sport. It's not a secondhand thing. They're not playing on an ice rink, right?
Right.
I think if we weren't seeing that, if we weren't seeing the reinvestment, I would be grossed out by it. I think in our lifetimes, we're going to see this be guys getting $80 million contracts. I think within the next 10 years, we're going to start.
I would say, why isn't that happening right now? Because here's my thing. Golden Boy Productions, Don King, all these boxing guys, do they own their own studios and places to train?
Nope.
No, they don't. But they give it to their fighters because they know they're putting something out. People are going to buy it.
There's a lot of guys that weren't getting paid. There was a lot of guys that weren't getting paid. The checks were bouncing from Golden Boys. Don King's one of the greatest thieves of all time. Because whatever those guys were making, he was making. Like Mike Tyson was broke.
Yeah, he did get fleeced.
Fucking broke.
Yeah, he did get fleeced.
That's what they were doing to these fighters. Not to mention the support that the UFC gives you in terms of like mental health shit, promotion, like all that stuff. The amount of money you make to wear a Venom kit down to the ring alone. That's what you don't see. We see the purse, and we sit there and say, "Oh, that's disgusting. That's only a little." You know, not looking at the sponsorship. This is an event that people watch all the time now on ESPN.
Of course,
fairly cheaply.
Yeah, it's out there. It's on network television, on cable television. It's there, right? But the thing is, though, is that that purse is still tiny. It's tiny. Yeah, sure, Venom. Everybody gets a little cut of that. That's fine, but that purse is disgusting when you think about some of the things that these guys are going through. And I understand you've made, this is what you're going to do. You're going to fight. This is what you want to make your money.
Yep.
But
here's my question though, right? You look at all those other organizations, right?
Yeah.
They're not organizations. They're purely promotions.
Right.
The UFC is an actual organization. They employ like 500 people around the world.
Right.
Full time.
Right.
Right. Golden Boy doesn't do that.
No.
Right? They deal with like independent people. I could go out and do IT on my own. I would have to pay my own health insurance, my own, take care of my own taxes and all that other shit. I'd have to pay people out of pocket to do that.
Right.
Right. And again, I was a fighter when I was younger. I thought I wanted to do that for a living. Right. There was a good 6 years of my life where I was real stupid because it really wasn't an option back then. Like if I could look back then and be like, just stop this entirely, go to fucking college. Right.
Yeah.
But it's like, now, my question is, the UFC has like 550 fighters in the roster.
Right.
Right. They have the Contenders Series.
Right.
Where guys who aren't UFC caliber talents are now getting fucking television time.
Right.
They're getting their names out there. They're getting
absolutely.
On social media. They're getting all this shit, right? All baked into this thing and the opportunity to go out to the UFC. Why are they doing business with the UFC?
Because that is now the pinnacle of what mixed martial arts is.
Sure.
But it's no different.
Golden Boy pays more. Why don't you go to Golden Boy?
It's no different than the WWE. Is that what we're saying then? Is that the UFC is nothing more than just a regional conglomerate system now that has happened that's now worldwide?
The WWE, no matter what has happened, the WWE's put a product out consistently.
Yes, they have.
Through the ups and downs, through the economy and all the other shit, all the horror stories you hear from the 70s, it's gotten better for those guys.
Right.
We've seen noted progress.
Absolutely.
Every generation has improved off the backs of the guys that went before them. This is progress.
Yeah.
It's going to be painful. It's going to happen. The NFL's been around a long time.
Yes, they have.
Fucking time. NBA's been around a very long fucking time to get to the point now where the players have so much say and so much control and so much power. They wouldn't be shit without the NBA, right?
Right.
The NBA had the, look at the city of Lowell, the canals that made this city great, right? The Industrial Revolution was born here. There's dead Irish people just buried in those canals. That's why we were able to do this.
Don't sit there and just all of a sudden understate though the NFL films. NFL films put NFL on the map as far as I'm concerned. I mean, along with all the TV rights, but when you're looking at that stuff, you ever want to get indoctrinated into football, NFL films is the best way. They're going to show you everything from their history, and it's all exciting to watch because the way that they filmed it and the music and everything, it just gets you into it,
Yep. And that's what you get. Like the PFL and Bellator,
Yeah.
they don't deliver the way the UFC can. You don't have the outreach. The
Well,
UFC
that's the
does.
thing with the UFC, with the fight pass and everything that you're getting. I will agree with you. You're starting to see like, oh, we have fights from here and everything like that.
And the UFC. If you look at what the NBA is doing with the WNBA, right, subsidizing the WNBA, because it's a product that nobody wants to watch. I'm sorry, nobody wants to watch the WNBA. I like also I watch curling. I don't want to watch the NBA. It's boring, right? But those ladies are making a good amount of money because the NBA is able to invest in that.
Right.
The UFC does that with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, submission wrestling, like all that other shit. They the way that they reinvest, they make sure that everyone can get their money, everyone has food on the fucking table and light the roof over their head and lights on. Right.
Yeah.
If in 10 years, if you're still alive, in 10 years, if the UFC pay hasn't grown significantly to where we're all satisfied, I'll be with you. I'll be appalled. I think it's too soon though. Let's give it a decade. Organization.
Let's give it another decade. You're right. They're like relatively like 30 years now, maybe.
And even then, you can't count it. You got to count it to 98 when Zuffa bought him.
I guess that's a good point. That's a good point.
It's a different organization.
Yeah,
it used to be the Gracies.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
I want to talk about that for a couple of weeks, so I'm glad we got it out.
We got it out there. But now we're gonna have to rush through this NFL week. So let's pick some plays. Let's do it. So we already saw the Colts and the Jets. Yay! Thursday night game, uneventful, very good. Cool. But
poor Mike White.
Jeez. Yeah, he got injured, didn't he? Yeah.
He looked great. And then fucking, nope. Then Jordan Johnson or James Johnson, whatever his name is, came out there. It was like, oh boy.
What happened to Joe Flacco? Didn't they sign that joker?
I was wondering the same thing. I was like, where the fuck did he go? He still has all the money from that Baltimore contract.
Yeah, like he's just sitting there like,
He's probably in Maui with Brad right now.
Oh my god! Yeah, right now the Jets are playing. No, I'm going to be off something else. All right. Speaking of the Raiders got the Giants in New York. It does not look good. I don't know.
This is one of those things that
Raiders are probably going to win.
Yeah, they have the talent. The Giants suck, and this is something that the team can sit there, just get on the field and rally around.
Yeah,
and they have this whole thing. It can't get any worse. It can, but. Josh Jacobs is going to break his knee probably.
Falcons Saints. I mean, the Saints just lost Jameis Winston, even though that was a great game beating Tampa.
Yep.
But I don't know who's going to pull him through.
Alvin Kamara is still healthy.
Yes, he is.
And their defense is really good.
Michael Thomas is gone, though.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You can afford to lose Michael Thomas. You cannot afford to lose Alvin Kamara.
Hey, but Matt Ryan, he's not great, but he's still a veteran quarterback. I mean, it'll be interesting. That's a coin flip for me, that game. It really is.
I just hate Matt Ryan.
I'm not a big fan either.
They looked good last week, but
yeah. And then we got Bills Jaguars, and that's Bills all day.
Yeah.
All day.
No
yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, that's not even a thing.
And again, homeboy in Jacksonville is just like, I'm loving all this other news because
nobody's talking about me. Trevor Lawrence
lap dance is just gone.
You know what it reminds me of? Who is Peyton and Eli's father? They're Archie Manning in New Orleans. You know, like a great talent gets destroyed over in New Orleans, just abused. That's what's happening with him in Jacksonville right now. It's like, oh, Trevor Lawrence, yeah, you're getting abused.
And he's a weird-looking kid. It's brutal.
He can't grow a mustache, that poor kid, man. No. Oh, you can't blame him, though. Can't blame him. That's something
not his fault.
You could do or you can't, right? So
he's fine. It's an organization with a rookie quarterback right now. They'll be fine.
Yeah. Browns Bengals.
The Battle of Ohio.
Yeah.
And after Cincinnati lost last week
to the Jets.
Yeah.
I expect them to be coming out in full tilt against the Browns.
This has get right game written all over it.
Yeah, I don't think the Browns, and I hate to say it, they're probably not going to pull it out because their defense is just not good enough. Like, am I wrong in saying that? Like they only have one player.
Miles
Yeah.
Garrett is one man.
That's
He's a
exactly
big
it.
man, but he's one man.
Yeah, sure. You lead the league in sacks, but where's the rest of your D?
Yeah, and
Nowhere.
Joe Burrows he's a very quick release. He's a very good quarterback. He's the real deal. He's got a dangerous receiving core. He's got a tight end that's actionable and Roosevelt there.
Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's doing a good job
Joe
over there
Mixon.
too.
And
Yeah.
they got some JP Ryan behind Joe Mixon there, so I think they're going to do a 50-50 split this week.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to see when you have a talent like Joe Mixon. And then
It's crazy.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah.
I think it's Cincinnati all day.
All right. Patriots, Panthers. I think the
Thank
Patriots
God.
are going to win this game.
I think they can too. Mac Jones is, he didn't pass the sniff test for me early on, right? But I'm quietly eating crow over here. He's very smart with the ball. Out
Yeah.
of the rookie class, he's looking like
He's the best.
Yeah.
The absolute best right now. And
with the least, I think too, with the least talent around them. They don't have a running back core. They don't have a good wide receiver core.
no. I'm picking the Patriots on this one. I am.
Yeah. And again, I'm happy to see Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson out of the Jets organization down there where they can, really open it up. I wish the best for the Panthers. I've always had a soft spot in my heart for them, but it's the Patriots this week.
That's it. Broncos, Cowboys. That's Cowboys all day.
Is Dak playing?
Even without Dak, I still think like the Broncos are a mess.
Yeah,
I was expecting a lot more.
They just got their slot receiver Jerry Jeudy back. Teddy Bridgewater, he's still feeling himself out a little bit.
Yeah.
You got Melvin Gordon.
Yeah. I don't know if Dak's back or not. He could be.
Yeah.
Because it was just a sprain, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
I think
all signs are pointing to him returning. But
yeah,
I think we're going to see a Dak attack if he is back on the field because he always has. When he comes back, it's really hard to watch.
Man
for
possessed.
The other team.
Man possessed. Vikings, Ravens. Yeah, come on. Unless Kirk Cousins pull out a miracle.
Yeah, he's going to need it in his weird van from his grandmother. He's going to need a miracle. What Lamar Jackson's doing, a mobile quarterback with a very accurate arm.
Yeah.
You hate to see it in Baltimore.
Doesn't he lead? Doesn't he lead even the running backs in rushing? Like it's crazy. Lamar Jackson is like
something stupid. Yeah, he's an absolute force. It's so
unbelievable
much fun to watch.
Yeah,
and all the injuries they had earlier on in the season, and still be sitting there just like in contention. It's amazing.
Crazy, absolutely amazing. Texans, Dolphins.
Ugh.
It's a game.
It's a football game.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know what to say about that. You want to talk about the Cleveland Browns of the NHL being the Sabres? I think the Miami Dolphins are quickly becoming the Cleveland Browns of the NFL.
Unbelievable.
The way they're mismanaging shit with Tua there.
Can you imagine seeing all that stuff? Yeah, exactly. Like you're the starting quarterback, you're seeing all this stuff coming up by management. Like that can't be good for your confidence.
No. They handled that all wrong. But
again,
you got Gesicki there. You got Myles Gaskin, running back. You got Jalen Waddle. They have stuff. So I'm picking the Dolphins for this one.
I'm gonna go Texans. I don't know why. I think Tyrod Taylor's back.
Yeah.
I think that makes the difference.
Mark Ingram's starting to show flashes of Mark Ingram of
Baltimore.
Even back to the Saints days, just being rock, you know what I mean? Like, if he can get that going again, they're gonna he's a dangerous man in the red zone. If he can get that going again, then they can win some games.
Absolutely. Chargers, Eagles. That's Chargers.
Jalen Hurts. I love Justin Herbert there, but I want to see Jalen Hurts do well, but
I think it'll be competitive, but I think the Chargers are gonna get this one.
Yeah.
Packers, Chiefs.
Another couple of dumpster fires right now.
Yeah.
Who would
I'm
have
picking
thought
the
Chiefs
Chiefs.
to be in this situation?
I
Really?
know. I am. I'm picking the Chiefs. I'm picking the Chiefs.
Oh, you
It's
have
Jordan
to
Love.
pick them every week almost, right? Like, because like
Yeah.
it's
This
still
might be the game.
it's still the Chiefs. Yeah, what are they gonna wake up?
That's it.
If the Chiefs lose this one, are they done for the season? Like, are they just toast?
I think you have to. Yeah, you have to call.
What do
this
they
a
have?
season.
2 wins?
I
Two
think
wins on the
so.
season?
They're really bad. They're really bad.
And if you lose to this Packers team, and I know Devontae Adams is out there, Aaron Jones, it's still a scary squad, but
It is.
there's no Aaron Rodgers.
No, it's Jordan Love. So unless Jordan Love comes out there and is like, great, then yeah, I don't see that happening. Cardinals, Niners.
You taking Packers in that one?
I'm taking the Chiefs.
Ugh, I'll take the Packers.
All right.
Just for the podcast.
I love it. I love it. Cardinals, Niners.
This is a toughie. I love what the Cardinals are doing. But the Niners, Deebo Samuel. He's a scary dude. And Jimmy
and
G
also,
can just show flashes of genius occasionally.
Yeah, and the tight end's back there too for the Niners as well. Kittle. So yeah, it's going to be a real rivalry there. I think the Cardinals are going to try to bounce back though. It's going to be by a field goal. Yeah, it's going to be a close one though. Titans, Rams.
All right, so one of the other big stories of the week, Deshaun Jackson's out. Van Jefferson, they put all their stock in a young wide receiver there who can stretch the field. Matt Stafford's Matt Stafford. He's living his best life out there. I think it's going to be Rams all day.
I think it's the Rams too. I can't see Tennessee weathering this one. And then lastly, on the Monday night game, Steelers-Bears.
Ugh. What, these primetime games?
I know, they're horrible. They're absolutely horrible.
Watching the Jets-Colts on Thursday. Who's got the Sunday night game? The Rams?
That's the Rams or the Titans,
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Monday night, Steelers-Bears. Well, Matt Nagy's going to give everyone COVID, so rest in peace, Ben Roethlisberger. He's taking him out.
I think Pittsburgh wins this one by a field goal.
For the sake of Tomlin, I can't see Tomlin face anymore.
Yeah.
He's not getting calls going his way right now. He's getting... Ugh. Yeah, I'd like to see the Steelers win that one as well.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to another episode here. Reed, always fun when we have you here, man. I can't believe it. Seamless, excellent, great discussions. Can't wait to have you back. We're going to talk some more UFC because there's some good stuff happening there for sure.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have to do a catch-up sometime during the midweek to digest on that one.
I totally agree. So, as Brad likes to say, be good or be good at it. And I would say...
eyebrows look way better today, too.
Well, thank you. I turned down the light.
I can actually see them.
It's awesome. All right. Well, everybody out there in podcast land, have a good one. We'll talk to you soon.
Adios.
You've listened to the podcast, but now it's time to visit us in our virtual sports bar. Get all of our info at guysbeersports.com, where you can find all the ways to connect with us. Watch for live conversations with Brad and Sean that happen throughout the week, and join in with your favorite local beer. You can share your thoughts in the conversation comments with your own uploaded videos, or even join us as a guest live commentator. The GBS Virtual Sports Bar is open for business. Come on in, boys and girls.